welcome back. It's been like 3 years. This series is always like, we're gonna do this series, and then a year, 2 years, 3 years later, we'll come back and like hit a new episode. But we are back with Shit You See in NYC, episode 3, with my fam, with Dave, the Wave, with the glorious story that I'm so excited for because we've needed these stories. So, Dave, lay it on us.
Sure, sure. Well, like Law said, this is Shit You See in NYC, episode 3. And I just want to start with introducing myself for those that don't know me and a little background. But I once read on an in flight magazine that Queens, New York, the place I lived half my life, was the most diverse county on the planet. I believe it was a in flight magazine on like American Airlines in the 90s. But um, so you can imagine, living my life in New York City predominantly. I have stories. Just going back a little bit about me, my mother is a Puerto Rican Roman Catholic, and my father has family from Russia to Austria to Hungary. As a kid, they called me Spick and Span. So, because kids are habitual line
Yo, I
crossers.
but I haven't heard that in so long.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you know when you unlock a memory from someone?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like that 360 achievement should pop up in
absolutely.
editing if you can do that. Um, my father is also Jewish. If you guys don't know, he's not Hasidic. Not suit, top hat, long curly sideburns. He's more like the ones you see eating a corned beef sandwich at a diner, complaining to the waitress about everything except his bank account. So yeah, so these kids found out I was part Jewish, part Jewish. I don't even know how that works, but because I was tall and funny, I was the Jewy green giant. I liked rap, so I was
Wow.
yeah, I liked rap, so I was Judacris, and my friends were the Jew Tang Clan. I like Star Wars, and all of a sudden I'm Chewbacca. So kids are mean. I got him back though. I cut him with a dreidel. Really use both. Really use both stereotypes to ruin their day.
Oh
Um,
man.
but when I
Oh
was
my god, I just
yeah, well, there's gonna be a couple of those. I really got, I thought about it when I was younger, what I'd be when I got older. And all I could come up with is the first lawyer to have a closing argument while playing Enrique Iglesias. Uh, Bailamos, not guilty. Shalom. Um, and my best friend is an Afghani Muslim to add to the confusion and elaborate diversity that is my inner circle. So you could say I'm like a Pokemon master, collecting every type of nationality in hopes that one day I can start my own United Nations. The only thing we'd probably solve is which dick joke is inappropriate in intervention. Um, that's hard to swallow as the front runner, by the way. So anyway, Abdullah is the sweetest guy you'll ever meet. Other times
100%.
he's quite terrifying. He's an aggressive storyteller. I'm not sure if you know the type, but is so passionate about conveying his argument in Eddie's setting that may or may not call for the passionate complaints.
Mm,
So at this point of the story, we're in a Queens restaurant pre-COVID, and he's
okay.
recalling a story about an argument he had at a car dealership. And as the waitress puts the food on the table, he's going at it full, mid-story, full volume. And I told that bitch, fuck you. And then he looks over to the waitress. He's like, hey, thanks, sweetheart. May I have another drink? You're the best. So Dave, where was I? And I'm like, identity crisis. He means well. He's a good
Night
guy.
and day? Just like
Night,
can turn it
night,
off
I
and put it
mean,
back on?
listen, it's like a strobe light. Um, so okay. So here's the setup to the story. Is I was born in New York City, and every New Yorker from the city has a train story that probably includes somebody shouting at showtime. If you know, you know, right?
Absolutely.
I have at least three train stories, or three stories involving the MTA. A fun fact: every New Yorker is in an abusive relationship with the MTA. I figured it out.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, it's true. And I've come to the conclusion that MTA is an acronym for making terrible adjustments. And I have family that's MTA, so I apologize, but you probably know or have heard this. So sorry, not sorry. So anyway, I was on the F train headed to Manhattan. It's rush hour. Train is packed. I have a seat, and in the middle of the
Lucky you.
yeah, well, I was the first stop and the last stop, so just lucky by location. So I have a seat, and in the middle of this commute, this woman is standing huddled directly in front of me and starts her shout with, "You're all going to hell! Repent now! Jesus loves you!" And she continues to address the train, shouting random accusations and Bible quotes in her proclamation. Side note, something that New York City strap hangers, subway riders, are accustomed to is random happenings on a daily commute. So no one's really shocked, but protocol is no eye contact or acknowledgement that this is happening during these kind of occurrences. It's like the military in the 90s, like don't ask, don't
Is
tell.
this the part where we tell them to take notes? Because people who don't know have no
Yeah,
idea, and they should
uh,
take notes about
they
this.
should be taking notes. Also, if it's 5 o'clock p.m. and you're in the middle of Times Square, move to the side if you're going to stop walking. Random, random tip. Might save your life, actually.
It's a great tip,
Yeah, yeah.
life changing and life saving tip.
I got to tell you, there's been many times where I wanted to kick somebody in the back as if I was like Leonidas from Sparta. What was it, 300, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is Sparta, get the out my way. But that's because I'm a New Yorker. But I'll this story will help you understand more of why we are the way we are. So she's been both condemning us and trying to save us from eternal damnation for 4 whole stops. She's now running out of things to say, and I know this because verbatim she spouts, "You don't go to the foot doctor when your elbow hurts. You go to Jesus. You don't schedule an appointment with a therapist when you're fixing a club sandwich. You go to Jesus." So she pauses as if she probably confused herself with where she was going. One moment later, my brain automatically recalls a quote from the old BBC comedy Monty Python, in which one of the characters repeatedly enters the scene and shouts, "Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition."
No one,
Nobody
no
expects.
one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
So I've now lost my poker face, and a piece of spittle from my contained outburst of laughter lands on her peacoat. She doesn't notice, still dazed with confusion, I assume, and shouts in summation, "Do not choose the devil, because Jesus is your salvation. But I already know you will all eternally burn in hell. Good night." Silence persists in the strap hanger's morning commute. We are in mid stop. The train is still moving. It is fucking awkward. She's now looking up and down the train for validation or an amen, like a Muppet, like, just really trying to get some kind of significance that her proclamation was appreciated. So silence, absolute silence. The train finally stops. People get off, some people get on. The doors are about to close, and she makes a mad dash for the door, almost knocking down people, struggling to exit the doors. And she has left as mysteriously as she arrived. At least we think so. The doors are about to close, and everybody sort of shifts their body in relief. She pops back into the doors and she goes, "Jesus loves you," and pops back out, and the doors close. The train moves. And that was one of my morning commutes. So that is to say, out of towners, that you no longer need to wonder why New Yorkers are indifferent to small talk and somewhat rude, because repeat after me, Lawrence, nobody expects a Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
And that's the shit I've seen in New York City.
I have so many questions. Like, there is so, and I feel like every New Yorker feels this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have those levels of thought of just like, how?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get from this point of like your brain to
Mhm.
that point, because
Yep.
that was like a Dukes of Hazzard leap to get there.
It's
Like
just a car going over the cliff.
you have to fully commit and just send it. Like there's
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
you just and you're there.
Yep.
There were so many parts of this where you said something and I was just
Mhm.
like,
Yep.
and I couldn't. One, you can't argue with this with any of them because it's just gonna lead down a place you don't want to go.
Absolutely. It's a Pandora's box of possibilities. You
Absolutely.
stay quiet so you can avoid the car crash. You just veer off with silence.
But you can't avoid looking at the car crash, or at least being acknowledging the car crash.
Yeah, well, you got to glance to find out where the potential violence is going to
Right,
come from,
right.
right?
You gotta keep what is it, situational awareness up.
Yeah, and what the
Periphery.
peripheral vision, right?
Mhm.
You have to be like an Air Force pilot. Like you have to know what's going on around you. But and here's another pro tip, also for New Yorkers, because I've seen New Yorkers violate my rule. You see what I'm doing here?
Mhm.
This is one ear in, one ear out. The reason why is because I can enjoy my music or my podcast, but I can still hear the potential disaster of my morning or night. And you know, you can't stop the car crash. You can only mitigate the damage. You got to get out the way. You got to stand up for somebody who's about to be hurt, or you got to stay just quiet. Just accept it and move on because it's gonna happen. How many times has Showtime happened? Nobody's been able to stop Showtime.
No,
Showtime is uncanceled.
it's
That show will go on. That's the longest running show.
Showtime shows up like Thanos, like I'm inevitable.
Right, exactly. It's like it's gonna happen.
Right,
Well, explain
absolutely.
to people what Showtime is, because we know what Showtime is. We haven't had a conversation about it, but we know.
So
We know.
Showtime is anytime you get a performer. We'll leave it because there's many types.
Oh yeah.
Typically, they're
Hmm.
dancers.
Hmm.
Typically, and dancers is very, very loosely putting at it. I would say acrobats
Right.
bordering
Right.
on circulation,
Right.
but they are performers
Yeah.
who are checking around to see
Right.
if there's any, police or whatever activity that would stop them from doing
Right. Well, it's illegal, so
right
you know.
from doing their performance.
Yeah.
And you get the
Which is
kids
entertaining at times.
at times.
For the first like 3 times it happens, and then after
Right,
that, it's like, don't kick me in the face.
don't kick me in the face, don't get too close to me,
Yeah.
like why are you interrupting like my, like I just got off of work and I
Right.
just want some peace and quiet.
Right.
Like I've been
So,
there all too many times,
oh
all
yeah,
too many.
it happens almost on a weekly basis pre-pandemic.
Oh yeah.
Um, I wonder what they're doing now. I wonder.
I had to go into the city like one time to like
Yeah.
to I forgot what I was doing. I think I was doing like a doctor's appointment, some randomness like that.
Hmm.
And I saw them
Yeah.
and I was like, please get on the train that I don't have to get on. Like I was on the train
Yeah.
like maybe twice this entire like, thing. And I saw one of those,
Hmm.
and then I saw a whole mariachi band get in on the door that I was sitting next to.
Oh.
And you just
Yeah.
please, for the love of fucking God,
Yep.
don't do it.
Yep.
And they see me. They they
Hmm.
they know
Hmm.
that you're upset, and they're just gonna,
Right.
sorry,
Well.
buddy, you're
Well, that's
caught in the crossfire.
yeah, but that's the thing. Like as an out of towner, this is your wake up call. If you reach your hand in your pocket and give out money, we know you're not from here. We know.
100%,
No matter
100%.
how sad the story, whoever is asking for money, no matter how great the performance, I almost thought about giving money to one of the Showtime guys that was doing the acrobatics and fell on his face, like did the scorpion, like kicked his head.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
And I was like, this guy doesn't have health care, I'm sure. He
Mm.
could use a couple dollars for some Tylenol, but I was like, no, I'm not going to feed the habit.
Oh, it's a very, because you kind of have to like check your morality a little bit. Like, am
Hmm.
I a bad guy for not encouraging their
Hmm.
dreams and aspirations on being on America's Got Talent?
Right. Or even, do you end up feeling like a bad guy for those women who bring their infants and children with them on their pilgrimage to get a couple dollars from some strap hangers. And then you realize there's benefits and services for those kind of people, and these women are destroying their children. Um, but I make the decision, and that's just my opinion, but I make the decision if somebody's asking for money to look at them good, specifically their shoes. If you're wearing Jordans and you're asking for change, a cup of coffee, a banana, a water, you need to take yourself to Harlem, cash those puppies in, and get a steak dinner, because this is not the move. You should have put on some penny loafers.
I've
Then
seen
I would have felt sorry for you.
I've seen like Gucci, like
Hmm.
from head to toe. She
Hmm.
looked like she was ready to go out to the club.
Right.
Face, a little, dirty, hair disheveled, whatever the case is.
Hmm.
If you wouldn't have like if you would have gave her one quick glance,
Hmm.
you would have thought she was better off than you.
Sure.
And then she like whispered and comes over and is like, "Hey, can you give me $1?" And I'm like, "You have a gold necklace on
Mm. That
with
doesn't add up.
designer clothes on." Like,
Mm-mm.
I'm not saying that they couldn't be fake, that they
Mm.
couldn't be X, Y, and Z, but like,
Hmm.
you arguably are wearing more than what's in my wallet.
Right. And this is why we're rude. This is why we're rude. I'll tell you, if you live in New York or if you visit New York and you watch the 10 o'clock news or, the morning news, they will expose people who are asking for money on the train. I remember specifically there was a woman who was acting as if she was physically disabled with crutches and all, and she looked disheveled. So she would have passed my test. I may have said she needs it. They followed her home. She got off the train, put the crutches in the bag, took the cloak off, and walked perfectly into a BMW and took off. They followed the BMW to a house, not an apartment, not a shack. They followed it to a house with a two-car garage. And this woman did this over and over. People had known her to do this on Fifth Avenue. And she just, and so fool me once.
Right. Isn't there a scene in Don't Be a Menace when Homeboy does the same thing?
Oh,
He
he takes off. He's got a full suit on, right? He's got a,
got a
a
full suit.
suitcase.
He's got two girls in the
Oh yeah,
convertible and all this other
yeah.
stuff.
It's a hustle. It's a
And
hustle.
listen,
You can make
we're
money. You can make money.
100%. We're not saying that there are not people in need. We are saying that New York City is the city of hustle, and
Mm-hmm.
you will get hustled if you do not have, your eyes peeled and you have a
Mm-hmm.
good sense of where you're at and what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. One headphone. Don't take out money. When it's showtime, dodge, dodge and repeat,
Yep.
because you never know what could happen. You never know. These subways with subway rat stealing somebody's pizza. There was a rat that ran up on somebody's shoulder and grabbed the pizza from their hands. I mean, anything's possible down
I've
there.
seen someone listen to their headphones, their
Hmm.
headphones like this, and just yoink from somebody outside. And
Yep.
I was just like,
That was when Beats were popular, right? When they just
yep,
came out. Somebody
yep.
took. Yeah, they'll take anything. They'll take anything. You got to keep one eye open and one eye looking the other way. You never know
Man,
what's
if I
going
could
to
have a
happen.
co-host, I would have you be my co-host and keep doing this. I have stories for days right now that I could riff off to, and I'm like, we gotta save those for later episodes. Because
I got to tell you. I got to tell you, we all do. We all do. As New Yorkers, we all do. And if you come to New York, you're bound to have one before you leave. When you,
if you ride the subway,
Mhm.
it could be for 5 stops, it could be for 10 stops, it could be for 5 minutes.
something's gonna happen.
Something's going to happen. That is like almost like a New York promise, a New York
Yep.
guarantee that
Yep.
something's going to happen.
Hmm.
And if you're lucky, it always comes in threes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always you get the
Absolutely.
one guy,
Yeah.
selling candy. You get the other guy, not selling for candy for no team or
No. No. But
they
I do buy from the people that are genuine. If
yeah
it's a wrapped, like if I know it looks clean, like it's M&Ms or a pack of Starburst or whatever, and the guy's like, because normally the wrap is I'm doing this to fund my school's photography class or
right.
basketball team or whatever. But if I get a guy, and I got him once, he came on, he's like, listen, I'm just trying to make ends meet. If you want this candy, you can have some, but just give me $1.
Yeah.
I'm hard for luck. It's not for my kids. I don't have any kids. It's not for my scholarship. It's because I just want to make some money. So if you're hungry, let me know. And he walked through, and I was like, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So there's always an exception to the rule. But as you were saying your story about the mariachi,
Mm.
everybody needs to stay tuned because I got a three-parter
Ooh. So
with the
we're gonna do
MTA.
this again. We're gonna do this again for sure.
Maybe we'll see.
All right.
We'll
All
see.
right.
We'll see.
Well,
But
thank you for coming on and sharing that story. I felt like I was there. I felt like I've experienced this,
because you
and I
have,
was right.
you have.
Yeah.
No matter what the situation is, you have, as a New Yorker, felt what it's like to be in a situation like that.
Have you ever left New York and like taken like other cities' public means of transportation?
Yeah, I
And
think.
just be like, I wish you guys knew how good you had it.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them are really clean. Like, I that last stop that I was talking about. No, it's the second to last stop. 169th
I
off
think
the
so.
F train.
Mm-hmm.
If you look up, and this is not the only subway, if you look up, the paint is peeling at a rapid pace where it looks like chocolate shavings. You look at the floor at forget about the tracks because the tracks are fucking gross. But if you look at the platform that you're standing on, that was once either gray or white, and now it is dirt brown
A hundred
or black.
thousand percent.
Yeah,
The color is questionable, much like
yeah.
the reliability of the MTA itself.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you so much. That was chef's kiss of a story.
Awesome.
It made me feel like I was taking public transportation again. It's been so
Yeah,
long.
yeah. Well, listen. I'm sorry if you felt like, as a viewer, if you guys felt this story. I'm sorry. We're in an abusive relationship. We are, and there's no way to go about it except
Is
to
it bad that like
do it.
even though I know I'm in an abusive relationship with the MTA, like I miss that story so much that it like warmed my heart.
Hmm.
Like I
Hmm.
genuinely
It's
in the time
entertaining.
in the time after the apocalypse, I want
Hmm.
to come back, ride the train like one time,
Yeah,
get that experience, and be like, oh,
yeah.
this is why I hate New York, and then just be done with it.
It's your world. We're just living in it.
All right. Anything else you gotta say to the people before we sign out?
Is there anything? But just before we go, is there anything as a New Yorker that you want to warn? Because we've given so many tips to these out of towners.
Oh man.
Is there like, I'm gonna think of one while you're thinking of one.
All right. A warning for people. Oh man, there's
Oh,
so
I got one. I got one.
okay.
Sabaros is not New York pizza, no matter if it's in New York or not. I said it.
Wow. Wow.
It might be good, but it's not New York pizza.
That's very, very, very valid.
Hmm.
100%.
Hmm.
100%. 100% valid. I would say that if you come to New York with the expectations that you're going to have this movie picture New York
I'm laughing at
experience,
you already.
Like this. Oh my gosh! Wow.
You may get that around Christmas, but
And that's barely like
yeah, because
that's
somebody will ruin that experience.
oh, without question.
There'll be a guy with his dick in his head
It's
right
it's
near the
almost like
Rockefeller
it's almost
Christmas
like Coming
tree.
to America, where he's like,
Yeah,
yes, yeah, and they just fuck you, asshole. He's
yeah,
like, yes,
exactly.
fuck you
Yes,
too.
fuck you too.
Like
Yep.
that is the 100% genuine New York experience.
Hmm.
Don't put it on a pedestal and be disappointed, because you will be disappointed.
Right.
I love New York. I have a
Hmm.
very strange relationship with New York. I know
Hmm.
we couldn't be in a working relationship.
Hmm.
Don't come here
Yep.
with bright eyes and like, oh, you're the woman of my dreams, New York.
Hmm.
Because
She'll break you.
it will turn into New York from Flavor of Love real quick.
Oh, see,
Am I wrong? Am I wrong though?
it was hard to give New York a bad name. It was even harder to like that she was called New York. And but if I'm gonna give one more piece of advice, is if you're in New York, it's a very bright, loud city, no matter what time it is.
Mm-hmm.
If there is silence, sound will follow.
100%. Oof. Ooh. Ooh, I felt that one. This is one of those like New York, if you know, you know.
You know, because you know why?
Why? No one expects
That's
the
the Spanish
Spanish
Inquisition.
Inquisition. Oh, thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Adios.